striking is that Grok found chiastic patterns not only within single books or chapters, but across entire sections of Scripture. Some span thousands of verses and multiple books. The odds of this occurring randomly, involving dozens of authors over centuries, are astronomically small. It suggests either extraordinary coordination or something far more mysterious. The AI also highlighted numerical patterns that have intrigued scholars for generations. The number 7, for example, appears throughout Scripture in seemingly intentional ways. 7 days of creation, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 churches. But Grok moved past the obvious. It detected patterns in the original Hebrew and Greek that disappear in translation. Certain words occur in multiples of 7. Sentences are organized into groups of 7, and themes repeat throughout the text in 7-part cycles. Even more fascinating, Grok revealed what's called the Fibonacci sequence appearing within certain biblical narratives. The Fibonacci sequence is a mathematical pattern seen throughout nature, from seashell spirals to flower petal arrangements. Discovering this same pattern in ancient writings raises deep questions about design, purpose, and the nature of the universe itself. Critics may argue this is overactive pattern recognition, finding meaning where only coincidence exists. But Grok's analysis included statistical probability calculations. The AI demonstrated that these patterns appearing together within one body of texts defy random chance by margins that make mathematicians uneasy. It's one thing to spot a pattern. It's something else entirely when that pattern appears repeatedly across a vast collection of documents written over 1,500 years. The God Code discovery. Now we arrive at the part that truly silenced people. Among all the patterns and structures Grok uncovered, one stood above the rest. The AI identified what some are now calling the God Code. This idea has been explored by researchers before, but Grok's analysis brought it into the mainstream in an entirely new way. The God Code refers to specific patterns in the original Hebrew Bible text where letters and numbers are interconnected. In ancient Hebrew, each letter also carries a numerical value. Grok found sequences where names, dates, and events are encoded through this system, forming layers of meaning. These aren't simple tricks or puzzles. They are advanced literary constructions requiring deep knowledge of language and mathematics. One of the most remarkable examples Grok highlighted involves the Hebrew name of God. The Tetragrammaton, usually written as YHWH. The AI showed how this 4-letter name appears embedded throughout Hebrew scripture, at specific intervals that seem statistically impossible without intentional design. It isn't merely written out. It's woven into the text structure at a molecular level. What makes this even more compelling is that these patterns weren't fully discoverable until computers could process massive amounts of textual data. Ancient scribes copying texts by hand couldn't have confirmed these patterns even if they were aware of them. Yet the patterns are there. They're mathematically testable, repeatable, and any researcher with proper software can verify the findings. Grok also revealed something that unexpectedly links to modern science. The numerical values of certain Hebrew words describing God align with physical constants we've uncovered in the universe, such as the golden ratio, pi, and other mathematical constants governing everything from atomic structures to galactic formations. Is this mere coincidence or evidence of something far deeper embedded within ancient texts? The skeptics respond, naturally, not everyone was persuaded by Grok's analysis. As these findings began spreading online, skeptics pushed back strongly, and honestly, their concerns deserve thoughtful consideration. This topic is far too significant to accept blindly without questioning both methods and conclusions. Some critics noted that pattern recognition is exactly what AI systems are built to do, sometimes excessively so. The human mind already tends to see patterns even when none are present. This is called pareidolia, the effect that makes us spot faces in clouds or hear messages in random noise. Give an AI millions of data points and instruct it to search for patterns, and it will find them whether they hold meaning or not. Others argued that biblical numerology has been used and misused for centuries by people attempting to predict the future or justify supernatural claims. Think of all the failed end-of-the-world predictions based on biblical number systems. The skeptics raised a fair point. Finding patterns in ancient writings doesn't automatically mean those patterns were intentional or divinely inspired. Linguistic scholars also added important perspective. They reminded audiences that ancient Hebrew and Greek scriptures were copied, translated, and passed down through thousands of manuscripts across thousands of years. Differences exist among manuscript traditions, and some patterns Grok identified may not remain consistent when comparing alternate source versions. That's a legitimate concern requiring serious investigation. There's also the issue of selection bias. Search long enough for patterns in any large text, and you're likely to uncover something intriguing. The real question is whether these patterns are unique to the Bible, or if similar analyses of other ancient works would produce comparable findings. Some researchers proposed running Grok on Shakespeare's complete works or ancient Hindu scriptures to see what appears. But here's the interesting part. Many skeptics admit that even setting aside the more speculative pattern claims, the Bible's internal consistency is still remarkable given how it was composed. 40 authors across 15 centuries, writing in 3 languages on 2 continents, somehow produced a unified narrative with interconnected themes. That alone warrants serious attention and study. The theological implications. Let's consider what this means for faith and theological understanding. Grok's analysis has ignited intense discussions within religious communities worldwide. For many believers, the AI's findings feel like modern confirmation of beliefs long held by faith. For others, it raises challenging questions about Scripture and revelation itself. Traditional Christian theology teaches that the Bible is divinely inspired, written by human authors guided by God. If Grok's pattern analysis holds true, some view it as evidence supporting that belief. How else could dozens of independent authors, separated by centuries, create such complex, interconnected patterns without divine coordination? That's the case many believers are now making. But it's not that simple. Some theologians are uneasy with using AI to prove matters of faith. They argue that faith, by definition, means believing without needing mathematical confirmation. If you require an AI to show patterns before accepting that the Bible is inspired, you're missing the essence of faith itself. Scripture says faith is the evidence of things not seen. There's also concern about reducing divine revelation to formulas and number codes. The Bible's power has always been in its ability to touch hearts, provide guidance for living, and lead people toward God. Does spotting numerical patterns strengthen that mission or distract from it? That question is fueling a genuine theological debate today. Some religious scholars warn that obsession with hidden codes has misled people before. Kabbalah, gematria, and other mystical traditions have explored such concepts for centuries with mixed outcomes. The risk is that people focus so much on secret messages that they overlook the plain teachings right on the surface.